ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Encourage me this morning. Thank you very much for sparing time to join us this morning at this very insightful session on the risk outlook for 2017. I want to specially thank my panelists, all risk eggheads in one shape or form or the other. They're going to be contributing, they're going to be telling us their own perspectives, and I'm sure we're all going to leave here very informed, very enlightened, and better prepared for 2017. And essentially that's what this is all about. I don't know about you, but I think that for most of us, 2016 was a bit of a shock. Who here this time 2015 could foresee how 2016 will look? I want a show of hands. Anybody who thought 2016 was going to end with the dollar at 4.85 to 1? Oshieke has his hands up. Who thought that Brexit was going to happen? About 2 people. Who thought that Trump was going to win? Okay, so we have a sprinkling of hands who think that, they have the crystal ball and they can see into the future. So it'd be nice to learn a few things from them. Most of us didn't see a lot of these things coming. And truly, I think whether you saw it coming or not, we have a little panel over there. Don't worry, you have your time, you have your space. Whether we saw it coming or not, I think that we would all agree that we could have been better prepared for 2016, that if we had been better prepared, we might have taken different decisions, right? Yeah? So that's why we decided to come together and talk about 2017. Is 2017 going to be more of the same? Is it going to be different? What kind of key risks do we expect to play out? Are there risks that can be prevented, that can be mitigated, that can be managed? Are there risks that need to be optimized? Are they going to be positive or negative risks? But whatever the case, I think having a better insight into what 2017 will look like will help us to prepare professionally, corporately, nationally, on every front. And that's why we've come together to talk about this. So, 2016 saw, for us, we saw low oil prices sustained. This one was one we should have foreseen, right, as a nation? Because I think we had it coming for many years, but we are an optimistic nation. Yes? We generally don't like to think about downside risk. A lot of scenarios had seen the low oil price, but we were fine to keep, playing our budgets or creating our budgets on high oil prices. So that was a challenge. Insecurity continued to be a challenge. And maybe we found ourselves a little bit blindsided by just Boko Haram, and then we saw the Niger Delta militants also come on. And lots of change on various perspectives. The big elephant in the room is clearly what? The foreign exchange risk, right? I'd like to know, is there anybody in this room who's not impacted? Because I think I need to learn something from you. Anybody here? No impact. In fact, I'm better off. They won't tell us if they are. Because, we might want to try and find out what's going on. So foreign exchange risk. And then we saw also the year starting off very slowly. A lot of what could seem to be indecision, slow cabinet being put together, slow boards being convened, slow stance on the FX policy, and a lot more. We saw the impact of the TSU. We saw policy flip-flops. I was just told yesterday, I don't know how many of you are aware of how true it is, but I think it actually came out in the media that the federal government is considering reversing that list. I think that list of 31 banned items, that they are now going to allow them to come in. And that's a huge policy flip-flop, because some businesses have died as a result of those banned items. And then all of a sudden we realize that we shouldn't actually have done that, and then we reverse it. Then what? And I think the policy flip-flops is one of the reasons why we find it difficult to attract foreign direct investment. And then there is also compliance risk. Did we see that feature in 2016? I think there's one big example that stands out in terms of compliance risk. Yes? I didn't say it, somebody said it. MTN, yes. But I think it puts a spotlight on the fact that compliance is increasingly important. And even regulators that we hadn't seen being very bullish suddenly wake up and be very bullish. I mean, many of you are from the banking sector, and I think that you don't underestimate in the banking sector what your regulator can do. But many other sectors are less well regulated. So, you know, we've seen a mishmash of all sorts of things. We've seen that banks are not lending. We've seen that businesses are being stifled. We've seen that, you know, business generally is more difficult to do. Government continues to play lip service to supporting SMEs, and overall, we find ourselves in what we call a technical recession. Seems like a big story, but it's not all bleak. It's not all bleak. Still in this challenging times, I hear stories of people managing to make something out of it, managing to turn it around on their heads. So I'll give you a few examples. You know, the other day I heard about some guy who had identified an opportunity out of the fact that cars are very expensive. You know what the price of cars are these days? I don't even know the word to use. You know, those are the kind of things that I think when you look at last year and you look at where we ended up this year, it's unbelievable. So cars are expensive, and most people are going to refurbish their existing cars. And some people, you know, the big men who have 5, 6, 7 cars are looking to quietly exit some of those cars that only go out once a month. So this guy spotted an opportunity. He spotted an opportunity to approach those guys, get their cars, the cars they want to dispose of quietly, ship them from Nigeria to America. You know that, what they call them? Containers come full to Nigeria and they leave empty. So he's putting them on empty containers, costing him virtually nothing. 2-year-old S-Class Mercedes. It's a 2-year-old S-Class Mercedes wherever you are in the world, right? And he takes them to America, puts them on an online auction and sells them. And he earns what? Foreign exchange for himself and the buyer. Is that an interesting opportunity? Out of this recession. And you know, he has people lining up to sell their cars because there's complete transparency. They can see how much the car is being sold for, takes his commission, and he does it, you know, discreetly, profitably. So there are still opportunities to make money. I know of somebody who manufactures armored vehicles in Nigeria today and ships them across Africa. Do we have a general insecurity problem in Africa? Okay, so instead of moaning and groaning about it, he's making lots of money from it. Because you see, they will buy the armored vehicles anyway. If not from him, they will buy it from foreign sources. But the advantage he has in Nigeria and other African countries is that he's manufacturing them here, and he can sell them to them at a cheaper rate, okay? And they don't have to go through all the FX issues. Okay, so these are just 2 examples, and the reason why I'm giving those examples is to also stimulate our thought process, to realize that even when there are challenges, and maybe especially where there are challenges, you find uncommon opportunities. So it's for us to put up on that opportunity hat and say what is out there. Okay, so as we look at 2017, and I'll be drawing on my expert panel shortly, we see a 2017 globally where Britain is trying to understand what Brexit means and the rest of the EU. And the question you might ask yourself is, so what's that to us? And I'm sure our panelists will be telling us what's that to us. And we have, you know, complete change in the American presidency. Whether you love him or you hate him, he will be the American president in January. So let's just agree that, right? There is also, you know, in many parts of Africa, the increased fusion of the African Union. I think we don't feel it so much in Nigeria, but when you travel across Africa, especially in East Africa, they take those things very seriously. They take that fusion between African nations and what it can mean for themselves and the world very seriously. So is that something that you should be thinking about, especially if you operate outside Nigeria and other parts of Africa? Yesterday, for those of us who caught the news, we saw the president presenting the 2017 budget. And it's been tagged the budget of recovery and growth. Will it deliver on its promise? You will tell us, okay? You will tell us. Our panelists will tell us. You will tell us. So, you know,